Uh, Good morning, students, and welcome to the presentation of LOLS 12. That's Life Orientation Life Skills 12 for DPPE and BES. My name is Teddy S. Shikukuma, and I will take you through this presentation this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, it's quite important for us before we go into the details of the presentation to give you the meanings of the action verbs. The action verbs are the words that are used whenever somebody is constructing a question. Let it be it in the assignments or in exam. So we begin with the action verbs to give you a clear instruction of what you should precisely give, what you should precisely present. So it's therefore important for you to master and understand the action verbs so that you'll be able to deal with questions in a more acceptable and appreciated fashion. So therefore, ladies and gentlemen, let's look at the verbs, the action verbs. Analyze. If we have the verb analyze, if you see the question started with the word analyze or the verb analyze, what you need to do, you need to examine information in detail. So your answer should be in that line of giving information in detail. Calculate, should it come, which is quite rare though. You have to give a numerical answer from given figures. So that's what it means by calculate. And comment, you discuss briefly by giving positive and negative points. If the question asks you to comment, then obviously what you are doing, you are simply discussing briefly. Remember the word briefly by giving positive and negative points. Excuse me. Compare. If you are comparing, of course, that's so way obvious. You are drawing a conclusion about similarities and differences. So you are looking at the similarities of a certain phenomenon and the similarities and difference. Contrast. What are you doing? You look only for similarities, not difference but similarities. Criticize. If you are criticizing, what you are doing, you give a reasonable judgment. First of all, you weigh facts. You weigh facts first, and then thereafter, then you present the reasonable judgment based on the facts. Okay, deduce. Should that one also come in exam or in an assignment? So what do? You use the information provided in order to reach to the conclusion. That's what it means to deduce. You utilize the information at your disposal before you reach the conclusion. Define. If you are defining, you give precise, brief meaning and features. So, and this is a very common verb in an exam or in the assignment. Define. You must be able to define to show that you understand. But as I said, not necessarily to memorize, but to have that understanding and show that yes, you understand what you are doing. Demonstrate. What does it mean? What is expected from you? Show by examples. Describe. There's no way the question paper should not have this word. There's no way the assignment should not have this word. This is very popular. So you must know what does it mean to describe, to provide detailed features for and against. And the word determine. Use provided information in order to work out the answer. The information is given, so you should just utilize it to work out the answer. That's what it means to determine. Distinguish. Distinguish cannot just be given to distinguish one word. There should be two phenomena. So then you should give differences because you are trying to distinguish. You give the difference of the two. Okay? Estimate. If you are estimating, you give the impact of something, period. Give the impact, how effective is something. Evaluate. You must be able to determine the value of something as per set criteria. And explain, this is also a must. Explain. You must be able to describe by indicating relationships between things. That's what it means to explain. And find. Find means to calculate, to measure, or determine. So that's what it means. If the question asks you to find, so you are doing either the calculation, measurement, or determination. Identify. Simple, straight. You recognize a name. Right, straight. Describe with examples. You must be able to describe by giving examples. Interpret. Describe something, explain the meaning of graphical information. Examine. You must be, if the question asks you to examine, then you should identify detailed features of something. While when you are listing, you are simply presenting a list of facts, names, objects, etc. Outline. You give an overview and indicate the main features. You are doing two things here. An overview, and then you indicate the main features. So that's what it means by outlining. While when you are summarizing, or when you are required to summarize, you definitely focus on the main ideas without bringing in the examples. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have to start now. We have to go in details. While we are going through, you should always look at the action verb, because that's a guiding bullet, that's a guiding principle to make it easier for you to deal with a question. And we all want to pass, of course, but you can only pass if you are paying attention to the question. But the key here, ladies and gentlemen, is the action verb. Okay. So you are required to give the definition of the following terms. Pass over. These things or these aspects are in your study guides. Pass over, you must be able to define what is pass over. So I've told you at the very beginning, I said the word definition or define, it's forever there. Okay, Passover. What is Passover? What is Christmas? And these are the things that we celebrate. If you are a Christian, for example, you celebrate this. If you are not a Christian, it's not a problem, but you should understand this. Good Friday, Easter, Anno Domini, and before Christ. What does it mean? Give the definition, okay, of those. We continue with the definitions. Humanity or humanness. What does it mean? Give the definition. Personal development, self-image, and ancestors. So they are in your study guide. So please, as I said, you should not necessarily memorize, but you should read with understanding, that you'll be able to put it in your words, but it should not be totally different from what is in the book, because it should give the same meaning. So these are some of the terms that you should give. Okay, we continue with the presentation. As a student of life orientation, life skills, you should be able to describe the qualities and functions of inspirational or religious leader. So it's up to you which one you want to give, whether you want to give the qualities and the functions of inspirational leaders, or you want to give to describe the qualities and functions of a religious leader. So the option is in your hands. So please go back to your study guide, see what is in. It might not be the same. Some might have inspirational leaders, others might have religious leaders. So you must be able to deal with one of the two. As a student teacher, you should also be able to explain the financial responsibility of having a family. What are the financial responsibilities of having a family? So what is required? The family needs food, the family needs clothes, the family needs a roof over their heads. You mention them, but go back to your study guide and acquaint yourself, have a picture of what we are talking about, and then you'll be able to deal with questions of this nature. So you must be able to explain. Explain how funeral ceremonies are carried out. Funerals in Namibia are not held the same way, so it depends the church. So we bring in the religious aspect. It depends on the traditional. Some people want to do it traditional way, and we have different traditions in Namibia because we have different tribes, we have different races, we have, mention them. So you must be able to explain how they are carried out. Perhaps you can pick up one. You say, for example, the Coloureds, how do they have their funeral ceremonies? The Hereros, how do they have their, one of each, the Kavangos, the Zambesians, or the Vambus, the Whites, and etc. Just see the Damaras, see how each carry out the funeral ceremony. You should not only confine yourself to your own culture, because as a teacher, you will be teaching in a multicultural society where people are from different backgrounds when it comes to the tribes. So you should understand and appreciate. And it's the same with the learners that you are going to teach or that you are currently teaching. They should understand other people's cultures, the way they do things, and appreciate. Because this will, in a way, avoid misunderstanding and the issues of racism and the issues of tribalism to be avoided. It's your responsibility. When you are a teacher, you have a lot to carry on your shoulders when it comes to subject matters, society at large, and multicultural issues. A teacher, you should be able to outline how to overcome stress. This is quite interesting. Everybody gets stressed because of one reason or the other. Learners also do get stressed. When exam time, the person is having pressure, and sometimes at home there are issues. There are children that are heading houses as we speak because they don't have parents. The parents have passed on and they are heading houses now. Imagine you have such a learner in your class and the person is always stressed and going through things because, as a teacher, then you must be able to help the children to overcome stress. But first of all, you should understand it. As I said, you are not only learning these things, memorizing them and write exam in IOL and graduate, but you should have that understanding. You must be equipped when you go in the field. Then everybody will know that you are not a half-cooked teacher, but you are prepared and you know what you are talking about. Even if you are to teach in the class, everybody, all the learners will be impressed and they will pass at the end of the day, not only for your benefits, but the benefit of the society, because a teacher is somebody who is highly respected when it comes to knowledge and skills. Explain Holy Communion. What is Holy Communion? It's in your study guide. It's connected to church, of course. Present the advantages of helping a fellow human being. Sometimes, for example, you drive on the Namibian roads and you find, for example, an accident, or maybe you find somebody with a broken car, but you don't have the nerve to go and help. But once you help that person, it will give you peace of heart. You will feel good that I have assisted. I know it's not safe anymore because even the criminals, they are doing their tricks. They will stop by and pretend as if the car is broken, and then you stop, then you are robbed. We understand, but there are some cases where you need to help. You can see, if you assess the situation, you can see that this person really needs assistance in a way. It cannot just be on the roads. It can be in your community, your neighborhood, your neighbor doesn't have sugar, these are the things that we are talking about. These are the advantages, because you help the person today, tomorrow the person will help you, even though you did not help with the aim to be assisted, like scratch my head, I scratch your back, and no, but it's ubuntu, as we say. So what we are talking about here is for you, ladies and gentlemen, to present the advantages of helping a fellow human being in a problem. You must be able to outline, look at the action verb, outline the challenges and consequences faced by single parents. It's not easy being a single parent. There are challenges. If it's only a lady and they have to bring up boys also in the house and ladies together, the burden and the stress that we have to go through when they are growing up, teenagers, they have their swing moods, they have their issues. This one needs this financially, the other one doesn't like this one is watching what channel on television. There are issues. Some are financial connected. The parent wants to send the children to a nice school, maybe a private school, but financially wise the person cannot afford. Sometimes there are issues that need men to men. For example, maybe boys to talk to their father, but the father is absent and is not there because they are not married. Or there are issues that are happening. So what are the challenges and the consequences faced by the single parents, apart from what I have mentioned? You should go back to your book again, your study guide, and be able to see what it means and what are those challenges and consequences. You should be able to explain why traditional healers contribute positively towards people's lives. If you are talking about traditional healers, I know they are mentioned in the study guide. Do we only view them as people that are connected to witchcraft? Perhaps they can contribute towards people's lives in any way, but your book will give you the guidance on that aspect. You must be able to present why traditional leaders are mostly old people. That's very, very common. If you look at the traditional leaders, the leaders of the community, village headmen, indunas, and the chiefs, most of them are old. One would want to understand, why is it like that? Why a person of your age, if you are maybe 20, to be appointed as a traditional leader to lead the community? Perhaps there are reasons, but they are available in your study guide. Explain how to stop selfish attitudes in children. Children can be selfish, but as teachers we should not watch and relax that, okay, let it be. Maybe that's how they were brought up by their parents. But as teachers, you should give that education to their learners and make sure that, yes, they are stopped from being selfish. Because if the person starts being selfish at a young age, when the person grows up, grow up with that attitude and that issue of not willing to share with others. And when the person becomes a leader, for example, will be selfish, everything will go to that particular person. In a way, the person will be corrupt and taking everything because it was not taught at a very young age how to share and what are the benefits of sharing. So what I'm trying to say here, you must be able to explain how to stop selfish attitudes in children. Dear teachers and ladies and gentlemen, you must be able to discuss the meaning of persecution and crucifixion of Jesus. This is also related to religious matters. You must be able to give the meanings of the two. If you go back to your study guide, you will be able to find the meanings of those two. But it says discuss, so it should be detailed. Explain how to help a grieving person. On a daily basis, we are faced with situations, losing the loved ones. Maybe the learner in your class has lost the parents or the brother or sisters. They are going through difficulties, that trying time, the learner might not perform well in the subjects, and the grades might drop low because of what the person is going through. So there should be ways of helping this individual person to pick up and to help. This person is grieving, he has lost the loved ones, the person is not coming back, the person is gone for good, but this individual needs assistance, especially the learners. So now you should be able to explain how to help a grieving person. It cannot only be learners. We are living in a society. Our neighbors might go through, might close people that might have left them. So how to help these people? Very important. You must also be able to identify ways you can utilize to get involved with sick, injuries, or disabled people, injured actually. What is your role as a responsible citizen? If people are sick, how do you get involved to help? If we are talking about sick people, we talk about people in your neighborhood, people that are maybe even distance people. If we are talking about being human enough, how would you help? How would you get involved? If a person is injured, would you just like today you find a car accident, and instead of a person to call an ambulance or so, or to put down the fire if the vehicle has caught fire, the person is having a phone and recording to update it on social media. I don't know what has happened to morality in our society, but how do you get involved? Are you going to get involved by taking pictures and send to the social media, to update the social media, instead of giving a helping hand by quickly calling an ambulance, making sure that you keep up with the person before the ambulance arrives, and so forth? People that are disabled, do we watch them and stare at them, or do we give them a comforting hand and talk to them and making them happy? So what we are saying here is, as a teacher, you should be able to identify ways that you can utilize to make sure that you get involved anyhow in this. But as a teacher, you can also instill it into the learners so that they can be responsible citizens that are not just going to be bystanders and watch and update on social medias things where the other people's lives are at risk. You should also be able to outline how to prepare for an interview. Very clear. Everybody, in Namibia, it's hard for you to get employment opportunity if you have not gone through interview. But for you to pass an interview, maybe some of you are not employed yet. You are trying to complete your studies so that you can look for a job and then get employment opportunity. But before you are employed, you must go through an interview. So you must be able now, here in the subject matter, outline how to prepare for an interview. Outline the factors that you can employ to improve self-image as well as self-esteem. There must be factors. They are in your study guides. You must be able to outline what are those factors that you can utilize, that you can bring forth in order for you to improve your self-image and self-esteem. And as a teacher of life skills and life orientation, life skills, you must be able to help learners to improve their self-image as well as self-esteem. Very important, because sometimes if the learner lacks self-esteem or self-image, then the learner is likely not to perform in the subject matters at school, and the person might be able to might not be able to pass and continue with the grades. Okay, explain the characteristics of good a relationship. What are the characteristics for a relationship to be called good? It should have characteristics. What are those characteristics? You must be able to explain them. You must also be able to explain how to enhance self-esteem in general, explain the financial responsibility of having family, explain the benefits of forgiving someone. You know, it's said you cannot hold grudges against someone forever. There will be a time that you are required, that the situation will force you to forgive that particular someone. What are the benefits? There are benefits of, of forgiving someone. You will sleep. You will have a relief. You'll be relieved that heavy burden on your shoulders because you have forgiven someone. Those are some of the benefits. Okay. Describe the rights like birth, adulthood, and marriage. Go back to your study guide. We'll be able to describe this birth, these rights, the birth, adulthood, and marriage. You must also be able to describe the characteristics of Jesus. They are in your books. What are the characteristics of Jesus? They are well explained in your study guide. Discuss the saying, love our neighbor according to the Bible. That's also visible in your study guide. Explain Holy Communion, connected to the Bible. Outline the roles of the Council of Churches in Namibia. So we have the CCN. It is that they have certain roles to perform. I know the building is somewhere here in Windhoek in Katutura. So what are their roles? Ladies and gentlemen, you must be able to discuss the benefits of maintaining healthy interpersonal relationships. Interpersonal relationship. What are the benefits? Discuss. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our presentation for this subject, Life Orientation, Life Skills 12. What I would like to sign off with, I would like to tell you that please prepare thoroughly for examination, revise all the units. Examination, you go back, look at what you have learned, all the units. You should look at all the units. Don't leave one because they are equally important. And once more, you go back to the verbs. I always emphasize that. Go back to the verbs. Look at the verbs. And you should have an understanding of each verb and answer precisely what is asked. Once you have mastered the action verbs, you are not going to struggle with any question because it says describe, then you know, you go on. Define, then you know what to do. Explain, you know what to do. Distinguish, then you know what to do. Compare, you know what to do. But only if you every time go back and say, okay, these are the action verbs and these are the meanings of the action verbs. Utilize the experience that you have acquired so far as a teacher. If you are teaching already, you should have a wider experience in different ways and you will be able to approach questions in a different way. And please, 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 I repeat, please do not leave any question unattended. You should try to attempt all the questions at your disposal. And you should perhaps call when you have questions, when you have issues. My mobiles are 0814800977 and my other mobile is 0812531801. You can also drop me an email, which you hardly do, but I am urging you to drop me an email as well. Because it gives details of your question, because sometimes you call it awkward hours and I don't have the guide in my hand. Let's say, for example, at night, it's very hard because I don't always have it. I have it at the hours that I want you to call between 8 o'clock in the morning up to 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah, then you can drop me an email. That's easier so I can respond every time. My email address is t_, take note, it's underscore, it's not in the middle, shikukuma@yahoo.co.uk. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your attention and best of luck in your studies.